Welcome into Steelers Latest, your daily spot for all news and information related to your Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm your host, Cole Denis, and please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. To stay up to date with everything Steelers. But let's get rocking. We're going to start today's episode with some ups and downs from last week. Which players are going up, which players are going down. A lot of ups from this Sunday's performance. Let's start there. Biggest one, of course, being Kenneth Gainwell putting together one of the best running back performances we've seen in years. His 134 yards, total yards, was the most from any position player in the past 2 seasons for the Steelers. So, Kenneth Gainwell definitely earned himself some more reps, definitely deserves more touches after such a stellar performance Sunday. His vision was a main factor for why he was able to provide such consistency in the backfield Sunday. Aaron Rodgers also still trending upwards. It feels like nothing crazy statistically. Of course, Sunday it had the 80-yard touchdown, but it's not like the ball traveled not through the air. It was like a 12-yard pass, air yards. They took it for the rest of the 68 yards to the end zone. But Aaron Rodgers, he was very effective with his execution at the offensive line and got the ball out of his hands really quick in that one, which allowed the Steelers to move the ball offensively consistently. Sunday, also, big shout out to the offensive line as they've been trending upwards in the past 2 weeks against New England, 0 sacks. Last week, the Vikings did have 2 sacks, but it felt like the offensive line played probably their most well-rounded game, opening up run lanes for Gainwell while also protecting Rodgers pretty well most of the game. Let's move to the defensive side of the ball. The duo in the middle, PQ and PW, continue to be flying around, both leading the team in tackles this past weekend. Both very impactful, one being sent on the blitz, both with tackles for losses. Patrick Queen also had a sack this weekend. Talking about sacks, we're big. Watt and Benton also were key factors in that game Sunday, so I'm going to move their value up a little bit too for the team. We know what Watt brings to the team, of course, but give him a little bit of a boost. Herbert and Benton, the young players, continuing to fill in and step up big in their roles. Elliott, in his first game back, also a key factor in many areas of the game. He was a factor at the line of scrimmage in the secondary. He was flying around out there. Love to see him back in action. Got an interception, was sacked, on a couple tackles for a loss. Really was able to do everything for the defense. Much needed from the secondary, from someone in the secondary. Love to see Elliott in his first game back perform like that. Some guys going down in this win. Johnny Smith, his numbers probably the lowest number of snap counts he's had all year. Wasn't involved much in the offensive game plan, it felt like. A little weird considering Arthur Smith does love him some Johnny Smith. Seemed like Darnell Washington was more of the tight end focus in this week's game plan, which I'm not going to complain about. I think Darnell Washington has high upside with his size, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. But Johnny Smith definitely taking a step back in his role this week in the win. Also, the rest of the receiving core probably going down, in my opinion. Calvin Austin, of course, got hurt, but besides DK Metcalf, no one's really been a consistent player at the wide receiver position. So we still need to see someone really step into that role. But for now, everyone in the receiver room besides DK is going down in stock in my opinion. And finally, the last one going down and stuff. Cam Hayward wasn't too much of a factor besides getting his hands up and drawing attention in this game. Of course, that is being somewhat of a factor, but I'd like to see him get more statistical numbers, get some tackles, did some tackles for a loss, maybe a couple sacks. I'd love to see him of Cam Hayward. Now, with him just being on the field, he's going to draw attention. I'd love to see him put up some stats while being out there. Let's move on though to our receiver problem. If Calvin Austin goes down, what are some options at receiver in the trade market possible? Uh, What are some possibilities out there? First off, we're going to start with two smaller deals. Probably the most obvious one being Alan Lazard from the Jets. Not really getting too much time up there. Familiar with Rodgers. Kind of has followed Rodgers everywhere he went. So that's probably the most obvious one. Second, Curtis Samuel for the Bills hasn't been getting involved much with Buffalo. Only one reception in the first 4 weeks. Maybe in a new environment, he could be a productive piece for an offense, especially in Pittsburgh next to DK Metcalf. Could be something to rejuvenate his career. Let's move on to the first big name, though. Jacoby Myers of the Raiders. He requested a trade in August, combining him with DK. This receiving core could be deadly. Definitely could be one of the best receiving duos in the league. Myers had a great year with the Raiders last year. They fall to 1-3. They're really struggling. They could fall to 1-4 here. They're slipping down. Their season is slipping fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking for deals to get rid of someone like Jacoby Myers. Another team that season is slipping away from them fast, the Saints. And Chris Olave is my final trade option for the Steelers. The Saints continue to struggle. Olave could be a solid piece, probably anywhere else besides New Orleans. He's been a solid piece for New Orleans. He's basically the number one receiver there since he's entered the league. Giving him an opportunity to not be the number one guy, play besides a stud like DK Metcalf, who's going to get most of the attention, definitely would be high. Beneficiary would be Chris Olave because the attention would go away from him. And Rodgers would make sure he got his touches. And Olave is a stud. Once again, you put him anywhere besides New Orleans, he's probably a top 20, 15 receiver in the league stats wise. Let's move on though. Let me know in the comment section what option you would like the most out of those four if the Steelers were to go out there and trade for a receiver. Let's talk about Jaylen Warren though. Mike Tomlin kind of cleared up and gave some reasons to why he missed Sunday's game. Mike Tomlin really just saying that Warren didn't feel good coming off of the practice field Saturday. The team didn't feel good about him playing after pregame warm-up Sunday, so that's why they ruled him out. So, as a precaution, they just sat him Sunday, which you don't hate to see. Might turn out to backfire mightily against Jaylen Warren because this might be the end of his starting career in Pittsburgh. I'm sure next, not this bye week, of course, but next week against the Browns, he'll probably be back and starting again in that just at least slotted on the depth chart as the starter. But Kenneth Gainwell really took advantage of that opportunity, and as I said earlier, he deserves more reps. Definitely should get more reps in both running and passing downs because of that great performance Sunday, just to see if he can build on it, just to see if it was a fluke. Warren did look good in the 2 games prior to Sunday, so maybe the offensive line has been improving and opening holes. And when Warren comes back, he can benefit like Gainwell did Sunday. But for now, you have to be splitting touches because Gainwell looks like he had the patience, looks like he had the vision and the acceleration to get the job done in the backfield this past weekend. And it's nice having an effective running back. It felt like for the first time we had a patient running back there since Le'Veon Bell. And let's wrap up today's show though with some other player returns. The Steelers will be getting back Corey Trice, Dante Kent, and Will Howard this week. Of course, Trice and Kent will add depth to the secondary. You don't expect them to have major roles out there, but with the injury of Jalen Ramsey, you definitely could see these guys getting on the field here. And rookie Will Howard, of course, it's nice seeing him return. He's not really going to have any impact on the team unless something tragic happens to Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph. Then Howard will be thrusted into the role of starting quarterback. We pray that doesn't happen. But it is nice having him back and healthy and able to learn hands-on with Aaron Rodgers and the team again. But that has been it from Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Denis, and I will see you tomorrow.